All right, gang. Well, it's last Neuro-Mass workouts demo here. Today is push-up day. You can see I'm out here at the park, not in the gym today, which makes things a little bit different, but it's good to get outside and do your workouts from time to time. So starting off with the grinders, doing kind of a little bit of an archer push-up stylish exercise. I like to call it the assisted push-up. So right now, my right arm is the assistance. The left arm is the actual pressing arm that's doing most of the work. I'm working on trying to keep my back tight, keep my elbows in tight. It's getting a little bit better, staying a little bit level. You can see my right shoulder's a little bit lower than my left one, but that's better than it has been in the past, so there's a bit of progression there. Getting about 8 reps on each side. And this is one of those moves that really needs to have that PTR strategy that I detail in my chain training PDF over at reddeltaproject.com. Stands for position, tension, resistance. I find that if I just jump into the push-up and I'm not really paying attention to where the tension is in my chest, my shoulders, triceps, back, and so on, that it's just a mess. So position, tension, then add resistance. Only add resistance when you are sure where the tension is supposed to be in your muscles. As I like to say, remember, resistance doesn't work your muscles, your brain does. Resistance makes it challenging to work your muscles. Or as I was just explaining to a client this morning, weight doesn't work your muscles, it challenges your ability to work it. So now on to the more explosive, powerful style push-ups. Just going fast here. I don't have enough strength to come off the floor, do the clapping push-ups and so on. It's just going as hard and as quickly as possible, then holding down the bottom position into the isometric, a couple inches off the floor, squeezing my back, shoulders in as tight as possible. Now, for the rest period, as I've explained in the past few videos, I do about a minute of rest, but out here in the park, there's no clocks, there's no stopwatch or anything. In fact, the only stopwatch I have is, of course, on my phone that I'm now recording this video on. So what do you do when you need to time your rest periods? Well, I use a technique I like to call self-timing, which is you pick an object or a location somewhere out around where you are and you walk out to it and then you walk back. So before I did my workout, what I did was I timed roughly how far I walked for 30 seconds, and then I marked that with a leaf or something, and then I just turn back and I walk back. So it's not as precise as having like a stopwatch, but it doesn't need to be dead on precise and accurate. It just needs to keep you on track, so that way you're not having some rest periods of like 30 seconds, some rest periods of like 2 or 3 minutes, and you're just all over the place. So this way, I have a fairly consistent rest period in between each set, and it kind of allows me to loosen up a little bit, get some breath, catch my breath a little bit from one work set to the next, and I know I'm getting roughly about a minute of rest in between each set. So that's a strategy I recommend when you're out on these playground workouts, is use something to time your rest periods, because otherwise, if your rest periods are all over the place, your energy's all over the place, and it's really hard to have that consistency that you really need in order to progress your training. So once again, coming off here, I'm really trying my best to pull my body over my left arm. I know a lot of times when people get really close, their arms are really close in towards their torso, they're like, oh, it's just a tricep move, can't feel it in my chest. Here's the secret that I found over the years is you want to feel like you are literally trying to pull your arm over the working hand. And it takes some practice to get, but I'm recording the audio here a few days after I did this workout, and I did the workout on Saturday. It's now Monday morning, and my chest is still sore from doing this. So the idea of you have to have your elbows flared out, you only work your chest when your arm is like moving outwards and then back across towards your sternum, that's simply not true. Pulling your arm inwards, trying to pull your body up over your hand with progressive push-ups like this is most certainly a very effective way to work your chest. In fact, I'm coming out with a video in the near future on why this may actually be better than things like chest flies and so forth. But look for that video anyway. So really taking the time to grind. You can see the sag there on my back. I'm not working very much on keeping my core tight with this, keeping my abdominals tight. It's something that I know I need to work on, but again, with any sort of compound movement, push-ups and so forth, your mind can't focus on improving too many things at once. It's very hard to multitask with these things. In general, I'm a big believer that I had a golf pro once tell me, he's like, Matt, you can only work on one thing at a time. If you're ever going to tell someone instructions like, okay, work on this, if you tell them like 2 or 3 things that they got to work on, they're not going to be able to work on any of them. So focus on just one thing at a time per set that you're trying to do. And there's always things that you got to be working on. With any compound movement, there should be at least 5 or 6 things that you can find that you can improve upon, but you can only work on about 1, maybe 2 things at a time at best. So yeah, really just struggling with the last few reps there on the power and the explosiveness. This is, by the way, I found this park. This is just outside of where I live. There's a really great app that I've been using. I think it's simply the website called calisthenicsparks.com. And they have an app. I don't know if it's available for Android, but it's definitely available for the iOS. And it's basically a way for you to find outdoor workouts, playgrounds, parks where you can get in bodyweight exercises. It's a free app. It's awesome. It just takes your location and says, oh, okay, there's these places. And I highly recommend you look into it. Also, try and become a spotter for it, which I am, because it's one of these apps that's fairly new. It needs to grow a lot more. So if you find a place, you can just simply upload that location and then other people can find it. And it just helps to spread this whole body weight culture around the world as well. So that's second set is down and done. Again, no editing, just to show you real time on what my workouts are looking like. These are the pushing workouts. Push-up workouts. The skill sets that I'm using in CC Plus, I did these earlier, actually. Saturday mornings, I like to kind of just use the skill sets as a bit of a warm-up, just a way to wake up a little bit. When I've got my job working at the gym, I'm up early in the morning, I'm there late at night. Usually Saturdays, I'm kind of like a zombie. I call it the workday hangover, or the work week hangover. I feel really out of it. So I did my skill work earlier, and so this is just the building sets that I explained in the CC Plus program. Grinding out, and of course, with fatigue, your technique erodes. That is just as natural as anything else. As I always say, everybody's technique and form turns to crap if you do an exercise for enough volume. That's not something you can necessarily avoid, but fighting against that fatigue, I call it technical erosion, as I explained in the second book that I'm writing for the Red Delta Project. Technical erosion is something that you fight, and through fighting it, that's what actually gets you stronger. It's not about sets, it's not about reps, it's not about load, it's about trying to maintain the quality of your muscle tension under fatigue or under the circumstances of the exercise. Like, I'm using a more advanced technique than if I put both arms together. Then that makes it harder to have quality tension, so I'm trying my best to keep it. Take just a quick deep breath. My chest is just searing right now. My arms, everything is super, super tired. It's just absolute pain to go through these explosive push-ups. They're not very fast, but again, you're trying to make them fast, and that's what changes your body. It's trying to do something. And then finishing off here on the isometric, holding for about a 10 count, and I'm done. Questions below. Be fit, live free.